Now let's talk about cosine function and its inverse. Well, remember that when we were talking about sine function and its inverse, we selected a piece of the function that was a one-to-one function. And that piece was in the interval from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. But cosine function is an even function, so this interval doesn't work for the cosine function because it's not one-to-one on this interval. Now, and that is the reason we're gonna pick a different piece. We're gonna pick a piece from 0 to pi. So we're gonna inverse this piece of the curve. Okay, so this is the piece that we're focusing on. Here it is, magnified a little bit, from 0 to pi. And remember, we are inverting it, so the y coordinate becomes x and x becomes y. And what happens is the graph is going to be reflected around the diagonal line, as you can see right here. So this is our original cosine function, and this is our cosine function or inverse cosine function. Now, now the range and the domain switch places, right? So now the domain of this function is going to be from -1 to 1, and the range is going to be the output, which is the angle, and the angle that we're going to see is going to be from 0 to pi. 0 to pi. So why is it important? Why are we talking about these graphs of inverse functions? Why are we talking about the domain and range of this function? Well, let's reiterate that. First of all, let's summarize what we have. So for arc sine function, we're going to have the range from negative pi to pi over 2 to positive pi over 2. So basically this side of the circle. Okay, it looks like we're going to have the same range for the arctangent function as well. Now, so what does that mean? That means that if you feed that function a value of a cosine, which are going to be the values from a sine, I'm sorry, sine, which are going to be the values between -1 and 1, is going to spit an angle from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. For tangent, the values could be from negative infinity to positive infinity, but they're also going to spit you a corresponding angle between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. Now, when later we're going to be solving problems involving inverse functions, and you're going to look at the context of the problem to decide whether to extend these angles to the rest of the circle, to the rest of the unit circle. Okay, but just remember that the arcsine and arctangent functions themselves, they only give you the values on this side of the circle. Now for arc cosine, it's a little bit different. So for the arc cosine, it spits out the values in this part of the circle. So between 0 and pi. And again, if the context of the problem show that the angles are actually on the other side of the circle, you'll have to make adjustment to your solution. So for now, just remember that the arcsine and arctangent give you values on this side of the circle, and our cosine gives you the value on that part of the circle.